The cute rabbit was supposed to marry a handsome black wolf. But on the wedding day, the goods didn't match the description. The promised handsome wolf turned out to be a silly Samoyed. It was assumed this marriage would end in unhappiness. Unexpectedly, the rabbit-dog combination was surprisingly harmonious. The noble wolf clan are the guardians of the empire's northern border. Logically, they should look down on the rabbit clan, who bought their way into nobility. Although this marriage was full of suspicious points, in order to escape her father's control, Shala embarked on the journey to the Black Wolf Mansion. She had never met her fiancé, but judging from his parents' portraits, Shala inferred her fiancé couldn't look too bad. Harboring expectations, Shala walked into the wedding hall. After the priest droned on for a long time, that she successfully married the empty heir in front of her. An absent groom? This wedding was certainly creative, but just as she was about to complain, she met the Duke's cold gaze. His imposing look choked her words back down her throat. This made Shala even more curious about her husband. With an anxious heart, Shala pushed open the door to the bridal chamber, but it was empty, save for a foul smell in the air. It was a mix of rotting decay and the scent of dry corn. This eerie atmosphere made Shala's imagination run wild. Was this so-called marriage a scam? Was she just a sacrifice for these carnivorous nobles? Just as Shala began formulating an escape plan, a noise came from the cloakroom. She walked in to look and found a puppy huddled in the corner. With blue eyes identical to Duke Grey Wolf's, there was no doubt this was her fiancé, Callion. Extremely rare mutants exist in the Empire. Shala and her sister are among them. However, the nobility reveres the human form. So her sister, Lacey, was always kept in a cell, and her mother even claimed publicly that Shala was an only child. At this moment, Shala fully understood the reason behind this absurd marriage. Logically, at his age, he should have long since taken human form. Yet now, he was just a little mutt whose ears hadn't even fully perked up. As if seeing a reflection of her sister's suffering, Shala reached out to comfort him. But Callion suddenly bared his teeth. "Don't look down on me." Saying this, he opened his mouth and lunged at Shala. In Callion's imagination, he looked mighty, domineering, and commanding. In reality, however, indeed, when you're weak enough, that even your anger looks cute. That look in your eyes clearly says you're underestimating me. Don't say that. A few years ago, I was just a rabbit too. I was so scared my ears stood straight up when I first heard about this marriage. But despite Shala's comfort, Callion still refused to be friendly. "Why do you keep ignoring me? Don't wolves cherish their wives? Who want to marry you? What? Do you think I'm not worthy of the Grey Wolf family? Or is it that you simply hate me?" Shala's dazzling presence left the puppy dazzled and confused. Out of inferiority, Callion could only flee the scene. This made Shala very angry. "You're avoiding the question, coward." Shala wanted to drag Callion out from the gap, but he seemed determined to call off the marriage. Seeing this, Shala looked dejected. "Are you planning to void the wedding this way? After I rode in that uncomfortable carriage, traveling all this way like a fool, full of expectation to marry you. If that's how it is, I might as well go back. There's a warehouse on the first floor of the East Wing. There's a carriage there to take you back." Shala was thoroughly disappointed that Callion had even prepared an escape plan for her. Hearing the heavy slam of the door, the puppy poked his head out in regret. He then paced anxiously around the room. Was my attitude too harsh? Will she get lost? Following Shala's scent, Callion opened the door. "You little rascal, I caught you." But Shala missed her pounce. "Weren't you coming to get me back? Or do you still want me to leave? This is my home now. Come out quickly." No. Shala was finally out of ideas with him. But there was plenty of time. Shala had plenty of time to win him over. The reason she was so persistent with Callion, that was entirely due to her nightmare of a family. Shala was willing to do anything to stay away from them. She just didn't expect to still dream of them even here. Waking up in the morning, that after getting dressed, she had to go meet the terrifying Duke. The Duke had sent the servants away. In the room, with just the two of them, the air seemed to freeze into frost. No joke, he was the most imposing man Shala had ever seen. The Duke spoke softly. "Did you see my son last night?" "Yes." Shala wanted to say Callion was cute, but that seemed inappropriate. "You seem like a normal lady now. Do you understand my meaning?" The clever Shala naturally understood. "Rest assured, Duke, I will help Callion become human as soon as possible." Hearing this, a trace of appreciation appeared in the Duke's eyes. After he left, a servant brought in a plate of green vegetables. Seeing this, Shala's mouth watered. She didn't expect to eat such fresh vegetables in the remote north. Could the Duke have prepared this especially for her? Perhaps he wasn't as cold as he appeared. Shala tried to ask the servant about Callion, but was surprised to learn that few people knew much about the young master. This was because Callion refused to interact with anyone, locking himself in his room all day. This made Shala even more determined to save Kalyan. Arriving at Kalyan's room, the maid reminded her she couldn't enter without the young master's permission. But Shala looked serious. "I am his wife. I have the right to know about my husband." With that said, the servant didn't stop her. Through the door, Shala smelled that familiar stench. "It's just a little smell, nothing I can't handle." But it was more pungent than she imagined. Looking inside, it was arranged like a dog kennel. Oh wait, the owner of the room was a dog. "Kalyan, stop right there." Kalyan darted under the bed in a flash. "Come out quickly. You'll get sick if you stay in there too long." But no matter how Shala persuaded him, he remained unmoved. Just then, a burly man appeared behind her. "Without permission, you're not allowed." "Oh, it's the young Mississippi, forgive my rudeness." Shala stopped the man as he was leaving. "Why can you enter here freely?" "Because the young master doesn't like being served by maids, so I was assigned." Shala wanted to ask why, but Kalyan suddenly shot out from under the bed. "Henry, you shut your mouth." Seeing Kalyan's angry appearance, Henry tactfully withdrew. After leaving Kalyan's room, Henry brought a box of jewelry. "If this isn't enough, just ask. As long as you are willing to leave here." Shala didn't understand. Why was Kalyan so insistent on sending her away? Does he hate me that much? Henry jumped to explain, "No. How could the young master hate you? That's hard to believe. It's true. Actually, the young master is quite fond of you. Before you arrived, he often stared at your portrait in a daze. Then why try to drive me away? You should know, there is no precedent for divorce in the Duke's family history. The Grey Wolf family is famous for its deep honor. So, the young master is probably afraid you'll regret it and that he'll ruin your life." Shala retorted, "Is there a better marriage match than the heir to a dukedom?" That may be true, but Shala interrupted him. "What's wrong with Kalyan? Is it because he's a mutant again? Is that such a huge defect in the noble world?" She had heard enough of that from her father to make her ears bleed. They hadn't done anything wrong. Why should they be treated differently? If she couldn't establish herself in the Duke's mansion, her sister would never see the light of day. So she had to make the Grey Wolf family her solid backing. "I understand what you mean, but I am very satisfied with this marriage. I will absolutely not go back." Soon, Shala appeared in Kalyan's room, fully equipped. Changing a person starts with their environment. She began cleaning, but after an hour, only a small patch was clean. Helpless, she had to ask the maid, Hannah, for help. Hannah was an expert at cleaning. She specially brought out her secret cleaning weapon. With Hannah's cleaning agent, Shala's work became twice as effective. By evening, Shala lifted the bedsheet. The puppy shyly turned his head away, but still spoke stubbornly. "Why haven't you left yet?" But where she couldn't see, Kalyan blushed in bewilderment. Shala took the dirty bedding away. She then prepared a clean towel for him. Only after Shala left did Kalyan come out from under the bed. Thanks to her cleaning, the room looked brand new. It must have been hard work. Why go to such lengths for me? Just as he was starting to fall for her, Henry suddenly entered with a bag. Kalyan's expression turned serious. "Thanks. Just put it there." "But young master, this stuff." Kalyan suddenly snapped, "Cut the chatter. Just do as I say." The next day, the puppy waited all day but didn't see Shala. This began to make him anxious. "She used to come see me no matter what. Why is she missing today? Did she get angry and leave?" The frantic puppy paced around the room, thoughts racing. Suddenly, he realized Shala leaving is a good thing. But why can't I feel happy about it? Then he thought of a worse outcome. Did Shala get lost? Was she kidnapped? Thinking this, Kalyan rushed out to find her without hesitation. In reality, Shala was just busy with official duties. A mountain of work left her no time to spare. When she finally composed herself and went to Kalyan's room, she found the door open and the room empty. Then she heard rapid panting from the doorway. A filthy Kalyan appeared there. "Why are you here? Didn't you go back? Don't tell me. You thought I left the mansion and went looking for me? You're kidding. That's not it at all." Although he said that, his tail wagging like a propeller betrayed him. He was such a cute puppy. Shala really wanted to hug him. But she heeded Henry's advice not to be affectionate too rashly. The room was mostly clean now. Only this wardrobe remained, since Kalyan didn't wear clothes. After getting permission, Shala opened the wardrobe. A scent of decay wafted out, but inside were clean, tidy clothes. Shala remembered Hannah telling her that the Duchess had passed away right after giving birth to Kalyan. Perhaps out of longing for his mother, these clothes were preserved so perfectly. This made Shala sympathize with Kalyan even more. So she decided to sleep there that night, attempting to offer comfort in this way. But in the middle of the night, she was suddenly woken by a smell. Shala sat up and looked towards the window. She saw Kalyan chewing on something. Holding back against the pungent odor, she approached. Callion, what are you eating? Spit it out. Seeing he wouldn't listen, Shala had to pry his mouth open. What on earth are you eating? No wonder you're so thin. Saying this, Shala poured out the contents of the bag. Cloves of garlic appeared before her eyes. In the diet of Shala's rabbit clan, that this spicy, pungent food was known as devil seeds. Why are you eating devil seeds? Does someone beat you if you don't eat them? Callion looked aggrieved. I begged Henry for them. I heard if I eat 100, I can become human. I heard from a merchant that a bear ate 100 garlic cloves and successfully transformed. What kind of nonsense rumor is that? So how many have you eaten? 81. This fool made Shala feel both angry and heartbroken. Idiot. How could eating garlic turn you into a human? I thought it was a bit strange, too. Hearing this, Shala hesitated for a moment. I know how to become human. I was born a rabbit, too. Look, I'm human now, aren't I? Actually, Shala didn't know any method, but she had to say this to stop Callion. If you knew, why didn't you say so earlier? You keep running under the bed and trying to chase me away. How could I tell you? Acting cute won't work. Then tell me the method quickly. Step 1. Eat your meals properly. Watching him wolf down his food, she knew it had been a long time since he'd had a proper meal. From then on, Shala went to supervise Callion at every mealtime. The Duke observed Callion's changes. He gradually changed his opinion on this marriage, which he had initially thought was a mistake. Full and satisfied, the puppy lay comfortably on the floor. But whenever Shala tried to hug him, he would immediately dodge. Is this also the first step to becoming human? Callion began to get suspicious. You aren't lying to me, are you? You doubt a kind rabbit like me, but you believe those false rumors? Fine. I have no choice but to show you proof. But before that, we need to change how we address each other. From now on, call me Summer. Callion mimicked her and called out twice. Then, he asked shyly, then what will Summer call me? How about I use the rabbit naming style? I'll call you. On. No. Then Lily? Even worse. If you use those names, I'll starve myself. I'm a wolf. I need a cool name. Indeed, a dull wolf cannot understand the charm of rabbit names. Then let's go with Lion. That's good. From now on, we use these nicknames. It means you can absolutely never betray me. The puppy nodded. Then he raised his pink paw and swore a solemn oath, word by word. In that case, I'll show you the proof that I can turn into a human. With a poof, Shala revealed her true form. The girl's first transformation into a rabbit shocked her puppy husband. He went from stay away to a fanatic lapdog in seconds. Unexpectedly, the rabbit was extremely wary of him. After all, in her eyes, Callion looked like this, looking at the rabbit, who was several times smaller than himself. Callion was dumbfounded. Now are you willing to listen to me quietly? Quiet? Impossible. Callion was even more excited than before. Calm down, you crazy dog. Summer, I didn't expect you to be such a tiny rabbit. Seeing him rush towards her, Shala's ears stood up in fright. Behave yourself. The puppy probably didn't realize that from Shala's perspective, that his sharp claws and pointed teeth were terrifying. Of course, Shala wouldn't say that directly. Instead, she told Callion to observe etiquette and maintain dignity. But Summer, you said we were close. Are you planning to disobey your wife now? Okay, fine. I got it. But despite this, Callion couldn't help wagging his tail and circling her. I told you not to come near me. I won't. But Summer is so small, so small. Summer, can I touch you? Don't even think about it. And can I give you a lick? What did you say? Because Summer smells so good and your fur is so pretty. It looks so soft. Do you have any idea what you're saying? If you want to eat rabbit meat, just say so. Sit still and stay calm. Now I'm going to teach you how to be a human. First, sit up straight. Then think hard in your mind. I am a human. I possess an excellent human body. Finally, use your strong legs to stand up abruptly. As soon as she finished speaking, Shala transformed for a rabbit back into her human form. Perhaps because she wasn't used to it yet, Shala stumbled and fell to the ground. After all, it had been a long time since she last turned into a rabbit. Once she regained her composure, Shala told the puppy to hurry up and try too. Hearing this, Callion mimicked her impressively. Legs use force. With a crack, unexpectedly. Summer, I really stood up on 2 legs. Did I turn into a human now? Others might laugh at you, but you are the funniest of all. However, transformation isn't achieved overnight. After Shala's transformation this time, the relationship between the two quickly grew closer. My turning into a rabbit is a secret from everyone. If anyone finds out, I'll be sold to a circus. At this moment, the puppy spoke calmly. I was born in the north. What does that matter? Here, a promise is more precious than life itself. No matter what happens, I will keep my promise to Summer. I will never betray Summer. Shala froze. In that instant, she seemed to truly see Callion. It made her heart skip a beat. She looked away in a panic, covering her blushing cheeks with her hands. I have something to say, Lion. No, what's wrong with your tail? This is the first time Summer has called me by a nickname. It is the first time. Saying this, the puppy pounced directly into Shala's arms. The voices of the two little ones echoed through the mansion. That night, Shala repeatedly revised her letter. If the content was offensive to her father, it might not be delivered. She specifically left a blessing at the end. This was a secret code between her and her friend Ella. Used to ask about her sister Lacey's current situation. Whenever she thought of her sister Lacey, who had never stepped out of her cage, tears would easily escape from the corners of Shala's eyes. So she had to remind herself, even more forcefully, she must stand firm. She called for the butler, Antonio, hoping to learn a bit more about Callion from him. She felt there must be another reason for Callion's resistance to maids. Antonio sighed. The young master indeed became like this because of an incident. 5 years ago, he was abducted by a maid. She said she saw a cute puppy all alone and lonely, so she secretly took him home. If it was out of affection, it would be at most a misunderstanding. But when the butler arrived, he found Callion chained up and tortured beyond recognition. Shala listened in disbelief. How was that maid punished? Fired. Just fired? Such a light punishment? Because the little Duke didn't want his identity exposed. Hearing this, Shala felt both heartache and helplessness. No wonder he hated contact with people so much. Back in her room, Shala asked Hannah, if you were the mutated little Duke and couldn't reveal your identity to everyone, what would happen? I think there would be a lot of gossip. But if everyone knew he was the little Duke of Grey Wolf, wouldn't it be different? Of course. In the north, who would dare be rude to the little Duke? Hearing this, Shala seemed to understand something. Callion, I found the reason why you can't become human. The rabbit finally agreed to her puppy husband's request for cuddles. Unexpectedly, the silly dog got more excited the more he licked. In the end, and the cause of all this started with Shala finding a way to transform. The so-called transformation method is belief. Only when you believe the fake can become real is anything possible. First of all, perk up that listless tail of yours. You are the universally invincible, thunderously handsome wolf, Callion. Try thinking like that. Why do I feel like Summer is a liar? Look, questioning your wife's words again. Besides that, we also need to learn how to mark. What's that? Simply put, it's declaring to the outside world that this room is your territory. This not only boosts confidence, but also greatly increases the success rate of transformation. But the puppy knew nothing about marking. Then I'll give you a simple demonstration. After speaking, Shala turned into a rabbit. This immediately changed the expression of the previously restrained puppy. Summer turned into a rabbit again. Summer, can I sniff you? No. Well, just the smell is okay, right? To teach him better, Shala had to agree to his request to sniff. However, the scent of meat on Callion still made her uncomfortable. I really don't understand carnivores. How is meat tastier than vegetables? But the puppy got more and more intoxicated as he sniffed, and finally even used his tongue. It looked like he wanted an extra meal. Shala didn't indulge him. She lifted her hind leg and kicked him. What are you doing? This silly dog really pushes his luck. Back to business. The rabbit lifted her hind leg. So-called marking is lifting your leg first. Then hold this. Shala looked at his foolish expression, puzzled. Is this hard? Meanwhile, the puppy's thoughts had drifted to outer space. No way. This action is too embarrassing, especially in front of Summer. At least wait until I'm alone. Shala didn't force him. Fine. Summer, you're so good. But remember to keep your tail up. Shala knew how to use both carrot and stick. Lesson over. Come here and sniff. Just then, there was a knock on the door. It was the butler, Antonio. It seemed he was sent by the Duke to check on Callion. But when Shala turned around, the puppy was nowhere to be seen. Why does this silly dog drop the ball right when it's time to show results? It's okay, Mississippi. Everything is hard at the beginning. I'll take my leave then. I'll look forward to seeing you both together next time. Shala was puzzled. Wasn't Callion fine just a moment ago? But when she turned her head, a pungent smell hit her nose. It turned out Callion had run off to mark his territory. Shala was overjoyed. Amazing. Now, this is your territory. However, she suddenly withdrew the hand she was about to hug him with. After all, it wasn't suitable for overly intimate behavior right now. But to Shala's surprise, this time the puppy seemed to mind. Summer, didn't you want to hug me just now? Why did you suddenly stop? Seeing the puppy's dejected expression, Shala was completely caught off guard. This guy actually felt disappointed about not getting a hug. Didn't he use to hide as far away as possible? This sudden change made it hard for Shala not to misunderstand. You don't like me just because I turned into a rabbit, do you? It's not like that, Summer. Don't deny it. I think you're just acting like this because I smell delicious. Even if I gave you rabbit meat, you'd eat it happily, right? That's different. If Summer hates it, then I won't eat it. Looking at the puppy's pitiful appearance, Shala knew she had gone too far. So even if I'm human, you're willing to be close to me? Of course. Okay, it was my fault just now. Saying this, Shala hugged the puppy and comforted him softly. Summer, do you think I'm a real person? Definitely. You will soon turn into a handsome guy. You are like an uncut gem. What is an uncut gem? Shala pointed to the jewel at her collar. Simply put, it's a jade stone that hasn't been carved yet. Only after polishing will it shine. But what if I'm just an ordinary stone? Then I'll become an alchemist. What's that? An alchemist can turn worthless stones into gems. I will definitely make you shine. Summer knows so much. I read all this in books. Hearing this, the puppy fell a bit down. He also wanted to be human with Summer sooner. He wanted to be worthy of her. I made you cry just now. Consider this an apology. Just this once, okay? And you're not allowed to touch my ears. Unsurprisingly, this silly dog caused trouble again. Sure enough, he needs to be taught a lesson to remember. The problem is, after teaching him a lesson, she still has to clean his fur. While cleaning under the bed, Shala saw his filthy mat. She couldn't resist pulling it out to wash it. As a result, she accidentally found the ring she had given him. She had chosen it based on a human finger size. A puppy's paw definitely couldn't wear it. He had put it in a safe place, though. However, Shala decided to keep it for him temporarily. She planned to give it to him again when Kalyan turned into human form. The library at night. Because it was late, the staff had already left work. Shala looked at a hole nearby, and she transformed and squeezed through. Unexpectedly, she ran straight into the Duke. This made Shala start doubting her rabbit life. Her rabbit form wasn't supposed to be exposed. Was she going to be discovered by the Duke? Fortunately, the Duke ultimately paid her no mind. Since she wasn't discovered, Shala took the opportunity to run into the library to gain the approval of the Grey Wolf family. Studying was essential. She took out a popular science book. From it, she learned that wolf tails generally hang down. Making Kalyan perk his tail up during the day was actually a bit apologetic. A few hours later, drowsiness hit Shala. She took out a clover to use as a bookmark, then left the library. But as soon as she left, the Duke appeared by the bookshelf. He picked up the book Shala had flipped through, gazing at the clover in his hand. His expression was normal, but he had already accepted this daughter-in-law into his heart. The girl's first time bathing her puppy husband turned into an epic aesthetic disaster. The usually cute and soft puppy actually wrung out tons of dirty water. Just a while ago, the butler had come to ask Shala a favor. Over this period of interaction, Shala's ability to handle affairs was obvious to all. She and Kalyan had also built trust and closeness. This led the butler to make a presumptuous request. He hoped Kalyan could walk out of his room again with the true identity of the young master. But there was a very realistic problem right now. Since that abduction incident, the young master hadn't bathed for a full 5 years. Not even once. Correct, a full 5 years. No wonder Shala could always smell a stinky odor. It turned out this silly dog hadn't bathed in 5 years. So the butler came to beg Shala. After all, she was the only one who could accomplish this. The current Kalyan could already actively open the door to welcome her. How was your day? Did you finish the assigned tasks? All finished. Then let's go take a bath. Summer, what did you say? Let's go take a bath. I'll wash you very clean, so you smell nice. Somehow, the dog looked slightly lonely after hearing this. Kalyan, why are you standing so far away from me? No, nothing. I just want to stay here. Liar. I'm not lying. So you're running away now? Before she finished speaking, Shala aggressively cornered the puppy, blocking his retreat. Usually, Kalyan would definitely be blushing and heart-pounding, but right now he was only terrified. Honestly, you are cute right now, but really dirty. Your smell is really not flattering. And me? Yes. No joke. It's like you came out of garbage dump. Even though Shala said this, the puppy still refused to compromise. He even took advantage of Shala, letting her guard down to hide back under the bed. Come out quickly. No, you already said I'm cute. Isn't that enough? Far from enough. Suddenly, Shala cried out in pain. Then she spoke sadly. You kicked me when you ran away just now. It hurts so much. This scared the puppy badly. He kept asking where Shala was hurt. Shala wiped her tears. I'm not going to talk to you anymore. Hearing this, the puppy completely panicked. I'll go take a bath. Summer, don't cry. You said it yourself. No takebacks. At this moment, the puppy felt a vague sense of being tricked. A basin of water later, the dog was revealed in his true form. Look, you're so dirty, I can't even lather the soap. This water looks like ink. Shows how sloppy you usually are. Stay fresh from now on, okay? Don't be smelly anymore. Will I smell as nice as Summer after the bath? Of course. I'll be happy if you smell nice too. If Summer is happy, I'm happy. Also, is your injury okay? It's fine, it's already healed. To Shala's surprise, the puppy was unexpectedly well behaved during the bath. Even more behaved than when she washed her sister. However, the puppy was still worried about Shala's injury, seeing that he wasn't reassured despite repeated explanations. Shala had to admit she lied to him. She thought the puppy would be somewhat upset, but Kalyan was unexpectedly happy. It's great that I didn't hurt Summer just now. From now on, I need to be even more careful. Shala froze there hearing this. No blame, only heartache and relief. This made an inexplicable warmth rise in Shala's heart. What a kind, silly dog. Soon, news of Shala bathing Kalyan reached the Duke. Knowing that Kalyan was in that extreme state just a while ago, and now Shala promised him that she would make Kalyan attend the hunting festival. That was the biggest festival in the north. If it were usual, the Duke would definitely think it was a fantasy. But now, seeing Kalyan's visible changes, the Duke actually felt a glimmer of expectation. Who would have thought that the desperate decision back then, that uncomfortable marriage negotiation, would actually slowly blossom? Shala's rabbit identity was eventually exposed. But fortunately, it was in front of the maid, Hannah. It started when Shala noticed the usually lively puppy who would wag his tail and rush to her somehow seemed listless. Lion, did something happen? No, that downcast tone didn't sound like nothing at all. Are you feeling unwell somewhere? If so, I need to call a doctor. But should it be a human doctor or a vet? At this moment, the puppy revealed the reason for his depression. I really want to know when I can turn into a human. I've done what Summer said, but I still look like this. I want to become human quickly too, just like you. Shala held the puppy's hand tight. You have to be confident. You are already steadily stepping towards being human. This process requires patience, you know? One day it will pay off. Her comfort made Kalyan feel slightly better. But to better understand his feelings, Shala decided to turn into a rabbit and experience it firsthand. Then, her tiny self emerged from the bushes, only to run head-on into two servants. Such colossal figures were indeed terrifying. If she could never turn back into a human, she would probably be panicked and overwhelmed. And Kalyan had lived as a puppy for a long time, so his feelings could be imagined. But consider another scenario. If everyone knew the puppy was Kalyan, would they get along more harmoniously? But what was important now was for Kalyan to accept himself. Thinking of this, Shala transformed back into human form. Just as she was adjusting her clothes, Hannah suddenly appeared behind her. The air froze in that instant. Did you see anything? Hannah quickly explained she saw nothing and wouldn't breathe a word. No, that reaction made Shala even more worried. She quickly pulled Hannah away from there. Later, she prepared exquisite desserts in the room. Hannah, tell me, what exactly did you see? Hearing this, Hannah had to tell the truth. She heard movement in the bushes when passing by. Upon closer look, it was a super cute rabbit. Hearing Hannah say this, Shala's anxious heart completely died. Because the rabbit was too cute, I couldn't help but follow it. I'm sorry, miss. I didn't know it was you. But how could you hide such a cute appearance? What a pity. Shala knew she couldn't hide it anymore, so she could only confess to Hannah. If you keep it absolutely secret, I'll show you one more time. Just once. Before long, the rabbit form reappeared. Hannah got her wish to pet the rabbit. Kaniyuki-o. All right, thank you so much, Mississippi. I never thought Miss would have a second form. You must have had a hard time all these years. Not as hard as Kalyan. Or rather, my sister suffered even more. You have a sister too? Then Shala told her about her sister. I can understand how you feel. I used to be with my sister too, but I had to separate from her because I came here. As the two chatted, drowsiness quietly crept over Shala. Hannah's touch was gentle, carrying a warmth that soothed the soul. That warmth was so much like the long-lost affection of family, letting Shala relax unconsciously, just like being in her sister's embrace. The experiences of this day finally made her truly understand just how lonely Kalyan, who had been unable to turn back into a human for so long, really was. She hugged the overwhelmed puppy tightly. Kalyan, please rest assured, I will care more about your feelings in the future. In order to buy a necklace for her puppy husband, Shala visited the northern outer city for the first time. However, the result was an unexpected encounter with man-eating monsters. And Hannah, just this morning, although she had already promised the Duke that Kalyan would attend the special hunting festival, Shala was still a bit worried. If that child appeared in the form of a puppy, how would people react? They would probably be very surprised. This was also what Shala worried about the most. What if someone mocked Kalyan? Miss, just put your mind at ease. If anyone dares to mock the young master, I will definitely step forward and beat him to a pulp. Let's see who dares to be disrespectful to the proud heir of the North. Where did you learn all this? Hannah's appearance made Shala laugh heartily. Actually, these original words came from Kalyan's mouth. Don't let the puppy's dorky cuteness fool you. The unique pride of a black wolf was carved into his bones. Shala hoped that one day he could say this sentence proudly in front of outsiders. Don't worry, Mississippi. The young master definitely will. At this moment, the head maid Sandra walked into the room, reminding them to prepare for departure. Today was the day of their first visit to the northern outer city. As the wife of the little duke, understanding the sentiments of the people was naturally essential. Incidentally, they could also experience the bustling excitement of the approaching special hunting festival. They visited many places. When they reached the last stop, since it was a rare outing, Sandra decided to let the two of them wander around by themselves. Subsequently, Shala came to a jewelry store. In order to let Kalyan wear this ring, Shala decided to turn it into a necklace. But because she didn't bring the puppy, she could only estimate with her hands. Thinking of this, Shala felt a little sad. It would be great if the puppy could come out shopping together. At this time, Shala asked Hannah if there was anything she wanted to buy. No, absolutely not. Don't worry, you can have whatever you want. But Hannah obviously didn't want Shala to spend money. To make Hannah feel at ease accepting it, Shala explained that this was payment for keeping secrets. But even with that said, Hannah still felt uneasy in her heart and insisted on giving a return gift no matter what. Then, without waiting for Shala to stop her, she rushed out to buy a gift. Shala was stunned by the sight, but thinking about it, it made sense. Hannah had always been such a gentle and kind person, but just as Shala was waiting where she was, the bell overhead suddenly rang. She didn't yet understand what this meant until she saw the surrounding crowd fleeing frantically, shouting that Deimos had appeared. Shala knew Deimos. It was a legion of demons that controlled dark magic. Wherever they went, nothing grew. Locking eyes with the monster, she seemed to already feel the Grim Reaper's scythe. "Miss!" Hannah suddenly shouted and threw something, successfully attracting Deimos' attention. While the opponent hadn't reacted yet, Hannah hurriedly pulled the stunned Shala to flee. Sandra was already waiting at the carriage. Although Shala successfully got into the carriage in the end, the monster was already close at hand. What was worse was that Hannah, outside the door, had not yet boarded the carriage. It was clearly only a few steps, but the distance suddenly became so far. Shala watched helplessly as Hannah was swallowed by the monster. She went crazy wanting to get off the carriage to save Hannah, but was held tightly by Sandra. "You cannot go back, miss," because at this moment, no one could stop Deimos. Hannah had not yet boarded the carriage. Shala's crying was drowned out by the sound of horse hooves. Sandra was equally sad, but all she could do was hug Shala tightly. "So is Hannah dead?" Shala asked in despair, tears already soaking her cuffs. Soaked through that dress Hannah had personally changed her into this morning. Sandra said nothing, just hugged her tightly, as if to pick her up piece by piece from a shattered world. After a long time, Sandra finally spoke. "In the north, when a child passes away, their soul will play in the valleys, until one day they are reborn as beautiful wildflowers." Sandra's voice trembled, nearly choking with sobs. Hannah, at this moment, is probably running and playing happily with her friends. So, you shouldn't call out to her anymore. Sandra gently hummed an ancient lullaby. The melody was as soft as snow, sweeping through the empty streets of the outer city. It seemed particularly sorrowful. Let this disaster scatter with the wind. May Hannah's soul run in the wind, knowing no more fear or hunger. May she be reborn as a wildflower that will no longer be trampled by anyone, nor be forgotten. Through Shala's unremitting efforts, the puppy's ears finally stood up. But before she could be happy for long, the puppy activated a second, evil form. Before Shala, he was a soft, cute puppy. But with others, he would transform into a terrifying four-legged beast. This has to start from the night Hannah left. Every time Shala thought of her, she would weep uncontrollably. If she hadn't appeared there in the first place, would Hannah not have died? The puppy read the sadness and self-blame in Shala's tears. Looking at the formerly cheerful Shasha, the puppy could only try hard to comfort her in his own way. But he still couldn't stop Shala's tears. This made the puppy become equally sad. "Shasha, if you cry, I will be sad too." Hearing this, Shala hurriedly covered her eyes. "I'm not crying, but I saw it all. Only little kids like you cry. But I heard your crying sounds." Shala turned over and wanted to push Kalyan away, but found she actually couldn't push him. This surprised her a little. It seems the food has been good these days, and his weight has increased accordingly. The puppy didn't care about this. He only knew that Shasha wasn't crying anymore, and that was enough. The two fell asleep, leaning against each other like this. The next morning, Shala woke up with red, swollen eyes. When she lifted the quilt, she found Kalyan was there too. "Shasha, are you awake? I didn't dare disturb you all this time. Are you okay now?" Compared to herself, Shala was more concerned that Kalyan's ears were standing up. She hugged the puppy and ran to the mirror. The puppy was also very happy when he saw it. Shasha, my ears are standing up. That's right. This means you are growing fast. Leon, you are truly amazing. This is all Shasha's credit. Meanwhile, the Duke, clad in armor, returned to the mansion. Judging from the wounds, the monsters this time were indeed difficult. The recent attacks had become increasingly frequent. Besides that, during the monster siege, two slipped through the net and escaped. In the past, these monsters would only attack frantically. If they gradually begin to understand retreat and ambush, can we really continue to resist them in the future? At this moment, the butler told the Duke that Shala had lost a close maid. Hearing this, the worry in the Duke's eyes deepened. Whether that legend of the Black Wolf who broke into the monster's lair alone and slew Deimos with a single sword can truly reappear in Kalyan. At this moment, a new maid was combing Shala's hair. Madam, your complexion isn't very good. Of course it's not good. I still don't know what happened to Hannah. She is very likely already dead. They say Deimos devoured many villagers. Those whose bodies could not be found will have a joint funeral. Hearing this, Shala angrily slapped her comb away. Unable to let go of Hannah's death for so long, she absolutely did not wish to hear such word from someone else's mouth. You may leave, Jessica. Yes, ma'am. Only after Jessica left did the puppy come out. You could have just shown yourself directly. No one dares to speak ill of you. Even if someone really did, I would teach them a lesson. But the puppy decisively refused. He didn't like others staring at him, and hated them knowing who he was even more. A maid then invited Shala to meet the Duke. Leon, shall we go together? The result was predictable. Arriving at the Duke's room, he was resting in bed, nursing his injuries. The purpose of calling Shala was regarding the AZ Kingdom. The AZ Kingdom had previously launched a coup. The powerful Villamose family eventually won. The new king, her god, completed his ascension, and the recent monster attacks were caused by demons raised by the AZ Kingdom escaping their cages. But this was a premeditated attack. The monsters are actually being controlled. Hearing this, the clever Shala immediately realized something. The situation is turbulent, and war is approaching. And just at this moment, Sandra, passing by Shala's room, accidentally saw Jessica eavesdropping outside the door. Finding no movement, she was even about to open the door. Sandra hurriedly stepped forward to stop her. What are you doing? This is the madam's room. She does not allow anyone to enter here. Sorry, I must have gone to the wrong room. Don't make this kind of mistake next time. But was it really like that? Jessica's resentful look as she left was obviously not that simple. At twilight, the bishop mourned for the departed. Shala, dressed in mourning clothes, prayed silently, sending off her cherished friend on her final journey. Just then, a puppy suddenly appeared. Unlike Kalyan, this puppy was exceptionally friendly. Seeing Shala, it rolled over to show its belly. Seeing this, Shala couldn't help but think of Kalyan. If only one day he could be this confident too. Arriving home at night, Shala found that the food at Kalyan's door hadn't been touched. Pushing open the door, there was no usual enthusiastic welcome either. Shala found the puppy in a corner. It turned out that many people had passed by Shasha's room today. Disliking being seen, he hadn't gone out to get food. You silly dog, what if you starve yourself? It's okay, Shasha. This level isn't enough too. As he spoke, the puppy suddenly sniffed. Shasha, why is there a strange smell on you? It smells very bad. Before Shala had time to explain, the butler appeared holding that little yellow dog. It turned out it had followed Shala all the way to the mansion. Seeing Shasha reach out to touch it, Kalyan immediately felt the sky was falling. He pounced directly to stop it. Shasha, don't touch it. Those sharp fangs scared the little yellow dog so much its fur stood on end. Get away from me immediately. Looking at Kalyan's furious appearance, Shala hugged him. A servant nearby panicked and picked up a broom. Get away. Heavens, it can actually speak human language. Then Kalyan was seen roaring, and the servant fled in panic, just like the little yellow dog. Only then did Kalyan react, immediately shedding his fierce appearance just now, revealing a dorky and cute expression. Shasha, do you want to touch my paw? But after what just happened, how could Shala be in the mood to watch you act cute? So Kalyan, you're only this well-behaved in front of me? You attack everyone else indiscriminately, is that it? Shala was furious. Did you bite everyone in the mansion? I will absolutely never bite Shasha. But that's not okay. I only need Shasha. I don't need anyone else. Speaking of which, you actually tried to touch another puppy. Aren't we the closest? Did you feel betrayed? The puppy pouted his snout. I don't know. Anyway, I don't like it. Good heavens. Are you acting cute? I'm not. It was Shasha who always said I was cute. At this moment, Shala completely broke down. She thought she had made great progress, only to discover the dog had a second form. Promise me you won't bite anyone in the future, and no speaking viciously to others, because I hate violent people the most. If you do this again, I will hate you too." This trick worked perfectly on the puppy. He immediately promised aggressively that he would never do it again. Since that's the case, let's pinky swear. It seems getting the puppy out of the bedroom isn't the only problem. Now, she also has to teach him to live in harmony with people. After the teaching, Shala also gave him a kind look. "You are the Leon I'm proud of, right?" "Yes, I am. I want everyone to be proud of my Leon. Even if you only have the identity of a wolf, you are still my most amazing husband." Saying this, Shala hugged him into her arms. "No matter what, I will protect you." Unexpectedly, this touching speech successfully broke the puppy's defenses. As the heir of the black wolf, the puppy absolutely could not allow himself to be unable to protect his beloved. But weak as he was, at this moment he even needed Shala's protection. This made Kalyan, whose self-esteem took a hit, hide back under the bed. Shala also used tremendous effort to drag him out. The puppy looked sad. "I didn't want to be born like this either. I also want to become strong, just like Henry." Shala imagined it for a moment. "No way. Absolutely not. If you look like Henry, I wouldn't have married you in the first place. I like you because you are cute. That's true, but I really want to protect Shasha. It's okay. You will definitely have the ability to do so in the future. For now, it's enough that we like each other. How much do you like me? If I have to say how much, it's just like how I like vegetables. I can't give them up even if my life depended on it. Does that mean I am Shasha's favorite in the whole world? You can understand it that way." Hearing this, the puppy swept away the gloom from just now. "I like Shasha the most, just like I like vegetables. But you don't eat vegetables. Then it's like roast chicken legs, roast lamb chops, veal tenderloin, charcoal grilled pork. Shasha, why am I getting a little hungry? This silly dog reciting a menu here. How could he not be hungry?" Additionally, Shala emphasized that he couldn't go to the roof for walks at night. "I didn't expect Shasha to even know this. I am your wife after all." Saying this, Shala cupped his snout. "From now on, become a proud and noble leader, Kalyan, even if just for my sake. If it is what Shasha wants, then I will definitely try my best." However, before that, Kalyan still had something to do. He used his keen nose to sniff the entire room. That bad dog from during the day actually dared to enter Shasha's room. It's all because Shasha is too kind. As the master of this territory, he absolutely would not allow such a thing to happen. At this moment, Kalyan looked into the mirror in the room. The reflection of himself had indeed changed quite a bit. He no longer looked like he did when he was a child, nor even like the way he was when he first met Shasha. Once, he hated himself so much. Every time he looked in the mirror, he couldn't help but smash it. But Henry would bring a brand new one the next day. He wasn't a fool. He knew Henry didn't have that much money to buy mirrors. He must have mentioned this matter to the butler. But it was precisely because of Henry's persistence that he was able to meet Shala. When he saw Shala's portrait, he never would have thought that one day she could actually become his wife. This also made him often feel terrified, afraid that marrying a weak, good-for-nothing like himself would drag down her life. But Shasha was a fool. Not only did she not stay away from him, she even said he was cute. She even compared him to her favorite vegetables. He didn't understand why he was lucky enough to meet Shala, but he knew if it was what Shasha liked, then he would try to change. That day, Shala brought a new cushion for the puppy. When she came in, she found the puppy sleeping. Looking at his dirty fur, Shala couldn't help but start grooming him. "So you've been pretending to sleep this whole time, right? Shasha, how did you know?" This tail was wagging almost to the sky. "Why pretend to sleep? Shasha comes to pet me. You really are cunning. It should be cute, right?" Shala then took out the new cushion for the puppy. The beautiful embroidery made his eyes light up. "Did Shasha make this herself?" "That's right. Do you like it?" "Like it. I like it so much, Shasha. I also embroidered your pattern on it." As a result, the puppy took this cushion away, saying he wanted to treasure it properly and couldn't get it dirty. "This was originally for you to use." At this moment, Shala took away his old cushion. "If the old one is gone, you have to use the new one." "No, Shala. Give it back quickly." After saying that, the puppy snatched the old cushion with his mouth. He frantically rummaged through it. Finally, he broke out in a cold sweat. "My ring is gone." "Shala, did you see the ring inside?" "What ring?" "I haven't seen it. That ring is really important." Hearing this, Shala put on an interrogating expression. "Leon, we didn't lose your wedding ring, did you? That is a very important thing." The puppy panicked upon hearing that. What if Shala called off the engagement because of this? He immediately rushed out. "I'm going to find the ring." Shala wanted to clarify it was a joke from behind, but Kalyan ran too fast. Then a scream was heard. "Kalyan, are you okay?" Hearing Shala address the puppy this way, the maids instantly understood. After all, there were rumors that Kalyan hadn't taken human form. Shala finally had time to explain. Learning it was Shala's joke, the puppy breathed a sigh of relief. Sorry, it was my fault. It's okay, Shala. Unexpectedly, Jessica stepped forward. So you're Lord Callion. I've never seen such a cool wolf in my life. Seeing this, Shala knew what was coming. Sure enough, the puppy activated his evil mode. I'm not a weirdo. I'm a maid of the Duke's castle. Then Jessica questioned Shala unhappily. Little Duchess, shouldn't you say something? To avoid more trouble, Shala had to explain to Callion. Say hello, Callion. Hua. After speaking, Callion quickly turned his head. Shala, I actually said hello. That's right, our Leon is the best. However, seeing Shala and Callion so close, Jessica looked displeased. That night, she was called into Shala's room. Is there something you need? You never called me Little Duchess before. You always deliberately avoided that title. I want to ask, do you not acknowledge me as the future successor of the North? Unexpectedly, Jessica didn't explain, but looked disdainful. The little Duke is still young. Who can say for sure that the future second mistress won't be me? Facing the maid who wanted to usurp her place, Shala broke her defense with just one sentence. It turned out Jessica refused to call Shala the Little Duchess because she felt she was more qualified for the position. At this moment, she showed no respect for the master-servant hierarchy. Her eyes were full of naked provocation. In contrast, Shala was calm, as winners often are. I didn't expect you to be so stupid. The Grey Wolf family has never had a precedent of divorce or remarriage. Before dreaming such dreams, you should understand the history of the North. Didn't your teacher teach you? Or do you think someone like you is worthy of shaking the Grey Wolf's ancestral teachings? Jessica finally lost control and roared hysterically. As long as I set my mind on something, there is nothing I can't get. My father said, I am the only one in the North worthy of the little Duke. Throw her out. Shala's calmness made her even more angry. Do you think you are so great? Don't act so high and mighty. After Jessica was thrown out, Shala asked Sandra, was I a bit too harsh? No, Mississippi. In my opinion, you were too merciful. The huge gap between maids made Shala miss the departed Hannah even more. But she couldn't continue to be sad now. Sandra, I will take Leon out often in the future. Please make sure the people in the mansion keep their mouths shut. Soon after, winter descended on the North. Shala opened the door with determination. Leon, we agreed to go for a walk today. The puppy hung his head, looking very resistant, but Shala was determined to take him out today. If you agree, I'll give you a kiss. The puppy pricked up his ears but didn't move, as if saying, you'll kiss me even if I don't go out, right? I won't. If you don't agree, I won't kiss you anymore. Maybe I'll even kiss that stray dog I saw last time. I'll go out. That's right. Look how nice the weather is today. Let's go to the garden together. But everyone will look at me with strange eyes. Don't worry, they won't. Just as she said that, the puppy made eye contact with a servant. Leon, say hello to Hua. For the rest of the journey, the puppy buried himself in Shala's skirt, not daring to show his head, until they walked out of the mansion. Leon, you were amazing. How about we walk to the garden together? The puppy looked proud. If you praise me more. This scene happened to be seen by the butler. He quickly called the Duke over. The young Duchess and the little Duke are chasing and playing in the garden. After so many years, I finally see the young master go out. However, the Duke was very calm, seemingly indifferent to Callion's great change. But was that really the case? The image of Shala and Callion had already appeared on his paper. This child has grown a lot since I last saw him. It would be nice if I could talk to him sometime. Back in the room, it was time for the puppy's most hated bath time. Stop complaining. Look, your fur has turned gray. But no matter how Shala scrubbed, the gray on the puppy's back wouldn't fade. That's really strange. Why is it still gray? Is it because the puppy is growing up? But looking at him, Shala felt he was still a baby. He didn't even know to use the cushion when sleeping and mumbled in his sleep occasionally. Since there was nothing else to do at night, Shala decided to sleep in Callion's room. Perhaps because Shala was by his side, the puppy's dreams became exceptionally sweet. He could not only smell Shala's sweet scent, but even see Shala bathing him. Now he was no longer as insecure as before. Actually, as long as Shala liked it. It didn't matter if he stayed a wolf for the rest of his life. Suddenly, he was woken up by crying. Looking up, he saw Shala was there. Only then did Callion realize that. It was Shala who was crying. She must have had a nightmare again. The puppy could only try hard to comfort her. Shala took the initiative to hold the puppy's paw, murmuring about her unfinished mission. I must protect my sister. Protect Leon. From that day on, the puppy seemed to understand something. He no longer resisted going out or interacting with people, and his transformation was just like the layer of gray fur on his body that was gradually becoming steady. The puppy welcomed his first true transformation. Not only did his fur turn into a smooth and shiny gray, but he also dared to go out on the street with Shala now. He, who used to refuse to go out no matter how much he was coaxed, now clung to the bedside before dawn, wagging his tail to go out. "Where did you sleep last night?" "I slept on the cushion you gave me." "Well done, my Leon." During the walk, the puppy suddenly blurted out, "Do you like vegetables more or me?" "Vegetables aren't cute, but they're delicious." "Then, am I not delicious?" Hearing this, Shala bit the puppy's ear. "The taste is indeed delicious. Then you like me more than vegetables, right?" "That's right." But if they kept talking, Shala would probably get hungry. Now wandering around the mansion, everyone was used to seeing them. Shala also planned to take Callian to try going further. After dressing the puppy up, she finally successfully took Callian out of the mansion. After all, it was the puppy's first time out. Inevitably, people whispered, their words laced with sarcasm. Sandra didn't indulge them either. "Please maintain respect for the young master." But the puppy was unexpectedly as steady as a mountain, without a trace of panic. "Leon, you did great." Then the group arrived at that jewelry store. Shala planned to make a necklace for Callian, and also retrieve the gift she had bought for Hannah. Shala hoped Sandra could send these to her family. At this time, the puppy was a little curious. "Who is Hannah?" "She was my friend." This made the puppy a little panicked. "Are you closer to her than to me?" "No, it's just that she has already left here." "Let's not talk about this. Come try the necklace I prepared for you." When she brought the necklace to Callian, Shala was inexplicably stunned. It turned out that without realizing it, Leon had grown so big. Back at the mansion, Henry almost laughed his head off when he saw that necklace. "I didn't expect you to wear such a lady style." How dare he laugh at Shala's gift? Shala actually didn't really want to make a necklace either. But the puppy's growing size meant he couldn't wear other accessories at all. Seeing Shala's frowning face, Henry had a good idea. Compared to making a fragile necklace. This way, even if he grows up, he won't have to keep changing it. "Is this your old-fashioned taste?" The puppy scoffed. But Shala surprisingly thought it made sense. Since Shala thought it was suitable, the puppy could only grumblingly let Henry put it on. "How is it, Shala? Does it suit me?" "It's perfect." Seeing Shala so happy, the puppy was naturally extremely satisfied with his collar. He used to feel lost because he couldn't wear the ring. Now he could finally show off in front of Shala. "Shala, your necklace is the best." "Please, this looks like my belt." "I don't care." Anyway, Shala is the best. "So, are you planning to travel over mountains and rivers next?" "It's not that exaggerated." "Leon, the spring hunting festival is about to begin. I want to go to the banquet with you this time. What do you think?" At this time, Henry stirred the pot from the side. "I don't think so. The young master can't even hold a knife and fork steadily." The puppy was just about to fall for this provocation, but quieted down in an instant, because he remembered the whispers on the street during the day. A girl actually married a beast. Look how scary he looks. Such words forced him to reflect. If he participated in the event, would people say even nastier things to Shala? Therefore, "Henry, you were right. I didn't plan to go hunting." To spare Shala from rumors, the puppy actually decided not to participate in the hunt. But he was afraid of seeing Shala's disappointed expression. So he turned to look at Henry beside him, deciding to let this unlucky guy take the blame. "The reason I'm not going hunting is because there are ghosts. During the hunt, the hunted animals will crawl out from all directions. A little puppy like me might get eaten. Henry told me all this. Master, when I made that joke, you were only the size of a palm. And you mocked me with a look of disdain for talking nonsense." However, Shala actually believed what Callian said. "Henry, tell Leon that there are no ghosts in the world. After all, he will deeply believe every word you say. It might leave a psychological shadow on Leon." Then Shala carefully comforted the puppy. A world where only Henry suffered was achieved. Shala had promised the Duke to take the puppy to the hunt. Now the puppy's attitude left her at a loss. Callian also noticed Shala's low spirits. He didn't understand why Shala would be like this just because he didn't participate in the hunt. He understood even less why the number of kisses had decreased recently. He remembered the first time they went for a walk, Shala kissed him 30 times. Now, even if he finished reading a book, she hardly praised him anymore. Was it because he had grown up and was no longer cute? Or was it because he hadn't turned into a human? "Leon, why are you crying?" To attract Shala's concern, the puppy could only lie that he saw a ghost again. "So you want to sleep together tonight too?" "Yes." "Then, Leon, what does the ghost look like in your eyes?" The puppy stammered. "Like a tiger, let alone a ghost." Seeing that in reality would be quite scary too. "But you said ghosts only eat little puppies, right? You are a human, so you'll be fine." Hearing this, Callian froze. Was he really the human Shala spoke of? Thinking of this, Callian got out of bed and ran out. The fear and uneasiness in his heart made him long for legs, long for a pair of arms that could embrace Shala. Just when he was almost certain that Shala no longer needed him, Shala's anxious call came from behind. The puppy turned his head pitifully, his aggrieved big eyes seemingly begging for a hug. "You fool, why did you run out in the middle of the night?" Was it because you saw a ghost in the room again? Feeling Shala's urgent concern, the puppy's suspended heart finally settled down slowly. It seemed Shala still loved him. It must be said that the puppy was easy to coax. After his sleep, he completely forgot the sadness of the night. Leon, it's so hot sleeping next to you. But I saw a ghost again. Hearing this, Shala had to hug the puppy tightly again. Not long after, the two came to the letter reading session. Most were blessings from nobles, until Shala suddenly pulled out a letter. After reading the content, she froze in place. This scared the puppy. It turned out this letter was from Shala's hometown. In the letter, her sister was seriously ill, but the family head pretended not to see it, and the jewelry Shala sent had been sold to buy medicine. The puppy was a bit puzzled after reading the letter. Who is Ellie, and what does she mean by the rabbit is sick? Ellie is my maid in the capital, and that rabbit, Shala's sister, fell ill unexpectedly. To prevent Shala from leaving, unexpectedly, the puppy came up with a perfect plan. Seeing Shala's face covered in tears, the puppy was also very anxious by her side. To make her stop crying, the puppy even offered to participate in the hunt. But even this couldn't soothe Shala's sadness. Just when the puppy was at a loss, Shala proposed to go home to visit her sister. This made the puppy unable to stop imagining. Would Shala go and never return? Would he never see Shala again? Why don't we bring your sister to the north? Shala turned her head in surprise. The puppy continued to explain, we can call Lila and that maid over together. Leon, do you mean it? Of course. Seeing Shala finally smile, the puppy also became happy. I am willing to do anything for Shala. So Shala, don't cry. The puppy didn't understand what he had done yet, but as long as Shala was happy, it was right. To express her gratitude, Shala took the puppy shopping and eating delicious food, which also served to exercise his social skills. You haven't forgotten about the banquet later, right? How could I forget? Request father to bring your sister and the maid to the north together. Shala thought this wish would take a long time to realize. She didn't expect there to be hope now. If Leon asked, the Duke would definitely agree. I hope they can be brought here after the hunting festival. No problem. Soon, they arrived at the Duke's banquet. The puppy presented Shala's request straight to the Duke. Is it your sister? Yes. Also, I hope to bring the maid Ellie along. The Duke agreed readily. No problem. After all, after this child leaves, you will inevitably feel lonely in a foreign land. Shala was stunned for a moment. Who did this child refer to? Of course, it's Kalyan. You are almost at the age to accept the moon summons. In the cold north, many children have to devote themselves to training and fighting early on, swearing to defend the Lord's territory to the death. Of course, this is only for boys. So Kalyan, get ready to go to the Hemlock Mountains. Shala's heart stopped beating upon hearing this. Did it mean sending such a small child to fight on the battlefield? Sending Kalyan to a place like hell on earth? What was the difference from sending him to die? Back in the room, Shala hugged the puppy tightly. I will never allow him to send you away, but this is something I must do. So you knew all along that he was going to send you to such a terrifying place? This is normal in the north, Shala. Every boy in the north goes. Besides, it's only for a month. It will pass quickly. Have you seen Daimos? You are afraid of ghosts when sleeping alone, but you are not afraid of that demon? The puppy confessed calmly, sorry, Shala. Actually, I have never seen a ghost. I lied just because I wanted to sleep next to you. But don't worry, I'm actually very brave. I will train to become very strong. That way I can protect Shasha better. Believe me, I will definitely be able to defeat Demos easily. I don't need your protection. Shala's voice was almost hoarse, and I certainly don't want you going to that dangerous battlefield. What did I say? I wanted you to become strong. You said you would do anything for me. Now I want you not to go. But this time, the puppy hesitated. Boys who don't go are either terminally ill or absolute cowards. I'm not sick, nor am I a coward. I just want to become a heroic husband who can protect Shasha. So believe me. But before the puppy could finish speaking, Shala stood up. She was going to confront the Duke. She would absolutely not let Kalyan leave. Even less would she let him go to his death. Shala's negotiation with the Duke completely broke down. The puppy was about to head to the battlefield. Hearing that Shala didn't want Kalyan to go, the Duke felt very puzzled. How could this astute child not know the traditions of the North? Why was she so obstinate on this particular issue? The Duke gave her no room for maneuver. The other children here were all the same. They all won their place in the North on their own. But Leon is still very small, and he hasn't even taken human form yet. Shala's rebuttal seemed increasingly weak. To be the heir of Grey Wolf and not fight, that is a disgrace to the family. The Duke's decisiveness that shattered the last shred of illusion in Shala's heart. Yet she still refused to back down. I am also of the Black Wolf clan. Shala raised her head, her eyes burning with a light bordering on despair. Just let me go in Leon's place, can't you? The Duke really couldn't understand her obsession. Perhaps only Shala, who had witnessed the horror of demos with her own eyes and experienced that bloody despair, that would be so desperate regardless of her own safety. But her pleading ultimately could not buy even a sliver of compromise. And Shala, having returned to her room, seemed to have made a decision. "Leon, let's go." The puppy listened, completely confused. He saw Shala pick up a backpack and put her jewelry inside. "Shasha, what are you doing? Let's leave the north, while everyone hasn't woken up yet." After speaking, without waiting for Callion to react, that she dragged the puppy, whose head was full of question marks, out the door. The puppy followed behind without saying a word, because he knew Henry was his father's man. Once Shasha fell asleep, he would turn around and return to the castle. The reason he didn't point it out was simply that he wanted Shasha to feel a bit better. He gently nestled into Shala's embrace, feeling this warmth that was about to fade away. "Shasha, you're amazing. I want to be as brave as you." To Shala, this wasn't courage. It was just a desperate gamble with no other choice. No one is born brave. You can only endure it. You have to do it even if you are afraid. However, Shala's self-comfort made the puppy even more firm in his thoughts. Dawn was approaching. Someone should have discovered they were missing. Callion looked deeply at the girl beside him who had changed his destiny. If he hadn't met her, he would likely have been dragged to the training grounds, his mind filled only with thoughts of how to escape. But now that Shasha had done so much for him, he also wanted to be brave for Shasha. He had to do what he was supposed to do. Henry turned his head to ask, "Is she asleep? So what's the plan now? Return to the castle?" The puppy spoke with a suspicious look. "What do you intend to tell my father?" "I can only tell him the truth. Just tell him I planned all this. Say it was me, this coward, who begged Shasha to run away together. But that is lying. Shut up. Do as I say." "Fine. Then you go tell him yourself." "No, I'm leaving now. I'm going to the Hemlock Mountains." Callion was afraid that if he stayed a moment longer, his heart would waver. Rather than that, it was better to go early and return early. But the young miss will be angry. Usually, hearing this would make the puppy very anxious, but the courage Shala endowed him with made him exceptionally firm this time. "If you cause trouble while I'm gone, I definitely won't forgive you." I know. You have to understand, I am the future Lord of the North, Callion. A little training like this can't stump me." Henry was momentarily dazed. It seemed that the timid child in his eyes had really grown up. "Listen to you. Anyone who didn't know would think you were leaving for 10 years. Little did he know, this unintentional tease would become a self-fulfilling prophecy in the future. Ever since the puppy left, Shala was like a soul drained of life. She often dreamed of Callion as a child. Every time she woke up, her face would be washed with tears. Her first words were always to ask about Callion's whereabouts. Even though a long time had passed, Shala still hadn't accepted the fact that the puppy had left, until she received a letter sent by Callion. In the letter, the puppy apologized to Shasha and explained why he left without saying goodbye. "Do you know, Shasha? Before I met you, I loathed myself. I was even ashamed to say my name in front of others. It was you. It was your liking and cherishing that gave me a world-shaking change. I was reborn. I forgot to tell you. Actually, the moment we first met, I fell in love with you. Shasha, I'm a gray wolf. You said wolves never retreat. Thank you for making me remember the forgotten oath. In 1 month, I will return safely and become your proud husband. I love you, Shasha." That day, Shala cried exceptionally loud, but there was less sadness in her tears and more relief. Perhaps the puppy had to grow up eventually, and growth is inherently accompanied by parting. Having figured this out, Shala no longer clung to the past, but she still wanted to do something, so she went to see the Duke. She pleaded to be allowed to go to the training grounds to see Leon. The answer was obviously no, so Shala found another way. Since she couldn't go see the puppy, thought she would prepare some food and have Henry take it there. Henry wanted to refuse, but because he had previously secretly turned the carriage back to the mansion, that guilt made it impossible for him to decline. But just going to the training grounds takes 3 days, and I have to dodge the sentries. I don't care. You must agree. Henry, I really can't find anyone else who can help. Please. Under her persistent pleading, Henry finally compromised. A few days later, Henry returned. Although he didn't see Callion with his own eyes, he heard from others that he was training hard, more seriously than anyone else. Hearing that the puppy was fine, Shala was relieved. "Henry, I'll pack some more things for you to take. I think the young master shouldn't need them anymore." All right. Although Henry complained verbally about the trouble, he was quite happy inside. This could be considered witnessing the affection between the little madam and the young master. Knowing the puppy was working so hard, Shala decided she needed to pull herself together too. After all, there was only 1 month left. However, fate has never been merciful. A raging wildfire that blotted out the sky suddenly ignited from the northern borders. Smoke pressed down on the mountains like a doomsday haze, bringing with it ominousness and disaster. This wildfire instantly severed all contact with Leon. Shala anxiously found the Duke, begging him to send people to extinguish the fire. However, how could such a massive fire be easily extinguished? He couldn't send elite troops on a risky mission just because his son was in there. Even if that boy was the sole heir of the North, it wouldn't do. Please believe in Callion. He won't die. Worrying is meaningless. He is the hero of the North in the prophecy. He is destined to experience some setbacks. Let us just wait for good news. However, good news did not come. Instead, bad news arrived. This so-called wildfire was not some natural force. It came from an invasion by demos. This time, the Duke had no choice but to send troops. War broke out. Henry naturally had to go with the army. Don't worry, I will definitely bring the young master back safely. This sentence was like a light, illuminating Shala's day after day waiting. Shala's suspended heart finally settled. Because Henry was the strongest and most reliable person Shala had ever met. She never doubted what he said. But this time, Henry broke his promise. The outer wall of the mountaintop training ground had collapsed. The entire training ground was also burned. Henry was like a different person at this moment. Like a walking corpse, he muttered to himself. If the young master was buried by rocks, perhaps that a form of release. It's better than being torn to pieces by demos. In an instant, despair spread throughout the North. It was as if just yesterday, she was playing with the puppy in the carriage, discussing what to eat later, or considering whether to give him a bath. But in the blink of an eye, the warm life just established, that was torn to shreds by the sharp claws of demos. Shala knelt on the ground, begging for this misfortune to be just a dream. But every time she opened her eyes, reality was even more cruel. All she could do, that was read over and over again the last and only letter Leon had sent. Shala curled up her body. At this moment, she had none of her former sunny cheerfulness. This liar, saying he would return in a month. Do you know how long it has been? The flames of war soon spread to the Duke's mansion. Sandra urgently evacuated the people in the mansion. But when it came to Shala, she refused to leave no matter what. The Duke is not here. Leon hasn't returned either. I am now the mistress of this mansion. As the head of the family, how can I flee alone? Determination was written all over Shala's face. If I haven't seen Leon's body, then it proves there is still hope he is alive. So until then, I will absolutely not give up. No matter in what manner he returns, I will keep watch here forever. The Duke finally returned to the mansion, but he did not bring back Callion. Coupled with the urgent situation on the front lines, that the Duke couldn't send troops specifically to search for Callion. Plus, the royal palace sent a bunch of good-for-nothings as support, that making his pressure heavier than ever before. But even under such pressure, the Duke forcibly retook the central region of the mountains. But there was still no news of the puppy Shala cared about, and the injured Henry seemed to be heading to the battlefield again. Henry, aren't you seriously injured? There aren't enough hands. What can I do? Then, little madam, I'll be going ahead. When I return victorious, I will definitely bring the young master back. Henry's words brought not a shred of comfort. Instead, it felt like an implicit farewell. Sure enough, since then, Henry was never heard from again. Shala struggled day and night in endless pain. Until one day, 3 years later. Mississippi, do you know a man named One-Armed Henry? I heard he was the Duke's castle gatekeeper before being conscripted. I know him. What happened to Henry? I didn't expect it to be true. I thought he was just bragging. After all, how could someone like him know a noble lady? Shala felt a faint sense of unease. Where is Henry? Why didn't he come personally? Little madam, he died on the battlefield. Henry instructed that this item must be given to you. This is what he was clutching tightly until the very last moment of his life. Every time there was a truce, he would frantically search through the rubble like a madman, as if looking for something. Looking at the remains wrapped in cloth strips in her hand, Shala's fingers instantly went cold. Her vision went black. This was exactly the belt Henry gave the puppy. So this was Henry's relic, and also Callion's. If Leon were unharmed, how could he have taken off the collar given to him? Despair swallowed her like a flood instantly. It turned out they were all liars. Every one of them said it was fine, don't worry, but not a single one kept their promise. If she had known it would be this painful, Shala would absolutely not have come here, and absolutely would not have gotten married. Shala's hope collapsed completely at this moment. And on the Duke's side, despite being heavily wounded, he was still concerned about the war. Shala walked into the room at this time. Please allow me to hold a funeral for Leon. Your Grace, this is his relic. Please forgive my refusal. The Duke's tone remained firm. That child is not dead yet, and he absolutely cannot die. He will eventually return and save the North with a single sword. The Duke flatly refused Callion's funeral, yet when he looked out the window, but he silently began planning his own affairs for after his death. That day, Miss Blanche came to the Duke's mansion. I heard father's condition is very bad, so I came to visit. As for Shala, Blanche had heard of her long ago. From now on, just call me sister. Blanche's arrival surprised the Duke greatly. Father is seriously ill. Of course I had to come, even though you never summoned me back. I will take care of you by your side until you recover. Blanche's care was indeed meticulous. The affairs of the mansion were also managed by her in perfect order. However, the Duke's illness went from bad to worse. The time he spent sleeping grew longer and longer. In that winter, when all living things withered, the Duke used his last shred of strength to speak. Shala, the puppy, finally returned in human form. But the Shala who had been waiting for so long dared not acknowledge him, because before him, liars imitating the puppy came one after another. Therefore, when the Real puppy stood before her, she instead dared not believe it. After the Duke nodded permission, Shala finally held a simple but solemn funeral for Callion. She, who had consistently refused to believe the puppy was dead, now laid down her obsession after receiving the relic. My dear Leon, you must be playing happily in the valley right now, right? Don't cry because of loneliness. We will meet eventually. After the funeral ended, she walked back to her room like an empty shell, pushed open the dusty window, and came to the balcony. The wind whistled past beneath her feet. When she leaned over to look down, she seemed to hear the puppy's call. Perhaps meeting the puppy wasn't that difficult. But just as she was about to be swallowed bit by the thoughts in her mind, two ministers of the North sought Shala out. They were Viscount Rosen and Baron Adolf. By the decision of the Northern Council of Ministers, we will escort you to another place. Sandra desperately stepped forward, trying to stop them, but she still couldn't change the outcome of Shala being taken away. Just like that, Shala was taken to the Imperial Monastery. This place could also be called a prison. Those ministers dared to be so brazen because the Duke was dying and powerless to preside over the situation. And Blanche's tacit approval was more like adding a stamp of approval to this persecution. The reason Shala was sent here was that she was a widow, and widows are criminals who devour their husbands. Plus, her lifespan was very long. Thus, she became a burden gnawing away at the family's wealth. However, the busy life here made Shala forget some of the pain. But every night, the longing for the puppy would multiply. If only I had jumped off the balcony earlier. Maybe I would have reunited with the puppy already. The only thing worth celebrating was that in these desperate days, Shala finally stopped having nightmares. Perhaps heaven saw how pitiful she was, and reluctantly stuffed a faint bit of sweetness into the boundless darkness for her. Until one day, several years later, a man claiming to be Callion found her. Shala, my dear lady, do you still remember me? These words made Shala break down completely. The puppy would never call her Shala, nor would he reveal that kind of twisted, disgusting expression. My puppy, he died long ago. However, the liar's tricks emerged one after another. They even deliberately imitated Callion's behavior. But without exception, they were seen through by Shala. She understood that revealing half a sentence more would only let these people practice their disguises to be more realistic. In her heart, the puppy was absolutely dead. And although she was imprisoned, she was still the Duchess. To completely cut off the thoughts of this group of liars, Shala wrote a will. Upon her death, all her inheritance was to be burned on the spot. Whatever couldn't be burned was to be donated to the orphanage. She just didn't expect that the will she made would be realized so soon. Before she could figure out what happened, she was confusedly sent to the guillotine. Below the stage were people who hated her enough to tear her apart. They howled like wild beasts, blaming all the suffering of the North on her. The war was because of her. The bad luck was also because of her. They even fabricated that she had affairs with countless men. All sorts of unwarranted charges were pointed at Shala. Completely cut off from the outside world, she didn't even know which rumor to start defending herself against. But she couldn't be bothered to defend herself anyway. Anyway, going to see the puppy isn't bad. Hannah, Callion, sister, everyone she cherished, she hadn't protected a single one. Perhaps this was the punishment she deserved. And so, amidst the overwhelming curses, Shala chose to remain silent. However, just before the execution, someone roared, "Stop! Who are you to dare stop a solemn judgment? Men, cut the crap." He spoke, ordering everyone present to kneel. The crowd instantly went into a commotion. A man with an imposing aura walked over from the distance. He warned everyone with a voice that brooked no argument. "I am Shala's husband, the head of the Grey Wolf family. Callion, what kind of joke is this? Isn't Duke Callion long dead? The man didn't waste words with this officiant. With a leap, he easily ascended the execution platform. Before I twist your head off, you'd best release my wife. That's impossible. Someone reported your wife for doing improper things. Which bastard reported Shasha? Tell me. While Kalyan was still dealing with this old man, his subordinates over there had already rescued Shala. Shala, still in shock, hadn't figured out what was happening yet. She only heard a form of address she had been longing for in her heart. That voice became concrete step by step until she was gently embraced in his arms. Shasha, are you okay? Do you still recognize me now? Shasha, it's me. You're Leon. Do you remember? I promised you I would come back. But Shasha, I'm sorry. I made you wait so long. Shala seemed to wake from a dream. Her face suddenly turned ice cold. He's just a liar. These people really went to great lengths. Let go of me. You guy, don't touch me. Hearing these words, the puppy was thoroughly heartbroken. Shasha, it's me. Can you really not recognize me? At night, the rescued Shala thought it over repeatedly. Sure enough, she had revealed too much herself. She didn't expect the scamming techniques to have upgraded to this level. The trope of appearing to save someone at a critical moment probably only happens in novels. And those eyes, just like a puppy's. The more he looked like him, the more disgusted she felt. She told herself, Leon is already dead. As long as she stood firm on this point, no matter how exquisite the disguise, it couldn't shake her. But just then, arguing came from outside the door. Why won't you let me see my own wife? I want to see my Shasha. Get out of my way quickly. This noise was so loud, Shala really couldn't sleep. Fortunately, it quieted down after a while. But then, tapping sounds came from outside the window. What kind of good person does this in the middle of the night? Because the noise was really too annoying. Shala wanted to see exactly which annoying stray dog it was. But just as she opened the window, a black, unidentified object rushed in. Could it be she encountered a new monster? But when she opened her eyes, she found it was actually that liar from the daytime. Shasha, it's me. Is your body okay? I didn't hurt you just now, did I? You fainted and were carried away during the day. I didn't even have time to look at you properly. Shasha, you're not angry, are you? That long-lost scent, the metallic smell of armor and swords, coupled with the imitation of Leon's tone that could pass for the real thing, it made her have to admire these scammers. Who exactly are you? Could I trouble you to leave my room? Shasha, what's wrong? Hearing this, Shala suddenly backed away. Her stomach churned violently. She couldn't bear to hear anyone other than Kalyan call her Shasha in such a gentle tone. And so, Shala begged with a voice of despair. I'm begging you, okay?